In the heart of the vast, unforgiving Mongolian steppe, under the watchful gaze of the eternal blue sky, a legend was born. It was the year 1162, a time of brutal clan warfare and shifting alliances. A boy child entered the world, clutching a blood clot in his tiny fist, a sign, the shamans whispered, of a great conqueror destined to hold the world in his grasp. They named him Temüjin. His father, Yesige, was a respected chieftain of the Börte clan, a descendant of the mythical blue-grey wolf and the fallow doe. Prophecy foretold that a child of this lineage would unite the scattered tribes and rule the vast grasslands. But destiny, on the steppe, is a path paved with blood and sorrow. When Temüjin was just 9 years old, his world shattered. His father, Yesige, was ambushed and poisoned by their sworn enemies, the Tatars, while sharing a meal under the guise of truce. The venom worked slowly, cruelly, allowing Yesige just enough time to stumble back to his camp and die in front of his young son. With their leader gone, the Börte clan, fearing the burden of a widow and her children, abandoned them. Yesige's wife, Holon, and her young family, including Temüjin, were cast out into the wilderness. They became outcasts, ghosts on the steppe, scorned and forgotten. Their fall from grace was swift and brutal. The once proud family of a chieftain was reduced to foraging for roots, hunting marmots, and fishing in the icy rivers just to survive. There, starvation was a constant gnawing presence. The harsh steppe became both their prison and their teacher. It was here, in this crucible of suffering, that the boy Temüjin began to transform. He learned the language of the wind, the secrets of the hunt, and the bitter taste of betrayal. Every sunrise was a battle won against the cold, the hunger, and the crushing despair. These were the years that forged his iron will, teaching him that on the steppe, mercy was a luxury no one could afford. One day, the shadow of their old clan rivals, the Tayichiud, fell upon them. Led by the ruthless Tayichiud, they hunted Temüjin down, determined to eliminate the potential threat of Yesige's heir. They captured the young boy, barely a teenager, and locked him in a kang, a heavy wooden collar that served as a mobile prison. He was paraded, humiliated, a spectacle of the Tayichiud's power. But even in chains, the fire in Temüjin's eyes never dimmed. He watched, he listened, he waited. One night, during a drunken festival, he saw his chance. Using the wooden block as a weapon, he struck his guard and vanished into the darkness, plunging into a river to hide among the reeds, with only his nose above the water. A lone tribesman spotted him, but seeing the boy's fierce spirit, chose to help him escape, an act of kindness that Temüjin would never forget. His freedom, however, brought new conflicts. The constant struggle for survival created tensions within his own family. Temüjin, as the eldest son, felt the weight of responsibility, but his older half-brother, Bekter, often challenged his authority. The breaking point came over a single fish. After a successful catch, Bekter refused to share it. For Temüjin, this was not just about food. It was about dominance and the survival of the fittest. In a cold, calculated act, he and his younger brother, Kassar, stalked Bekter and killed him with a volley of arrows. When his mother, Holon, discovered what he had done, she was horrified, crying out that he was a destroyer, not a leader. This brutal act marked a dark turning point. The boy who hunted to survive had become a man who killed to rule. Yet, even in this harsh world, a bond of brotherhood was forged. Temüjin met a boy from another noble clan named Jamukha. They became inseparable, performing a sacred blood brother ritual, swearing eternal loyalty. They hunted together, fought together, and dreamed of a future where they would rule the steppe side by side. They were sworn brothers, two halves of a single soul. But the steppe had other plans. Their shared ambition, the very thing that bound them, would eventually become the wedge that drove them apart, turning them into the most bitter of sworn enemies, their fated rivalry a saga of its own. Before his father's death, Temüjin had been betrothed to Börte, a girl from the prestigious outcast tribe. Now a young man, he journeyed to claim his bride. Their reunion was a rare moment of light in his dark world. Börte was beautiful, intelligent, and fiercely loyal. Their marriage was not just a personal union, but a strategic alliance that elevated Temüjin's status. But happiness on the steppe is as fleeting as a summer storm. Soon after their wedding, a nightmare from the past returned. The Merkit tribe, who held a grudge against Temüjin's father for stealing his mother Holan years ago, exacted their revenge. They raided his camp in the dead of night, and while Temüjin managed a narrow escape, they captured his beloved Börte. The kidnapping of Börte was the ultimate dishonor. A man who could not protect his own wife was no man at all in the eyes of the steppe tribes. This was the moment of truth for Temüjin. Would he fade back into obscurity, a broken man? Or would he rise from the ashes of his humiliation? The fire that had been forged in exile, captivity, and fratricide now roared into an inferno. He was not going to let Börte's fate be his own. He sought out his sworn brother, Jamukha, and his father's old ally, Genghis Khan, leader of the powerful Karaite tribe. He called upon old debts and fragile alliances, convincing them to join his cause. This was no mere rescue mission. It was the beginning of a war. For the first time, Temüjin was not just a survivor, he was a commander. He gathered an army, a coalition of tribes united under his singular, burning purpose, to reclaim his wife and destroy the Merkits. The campaign was audacious, brutal, and ultimately, triumphant. They crushed the Merkit forces and rescued Börte. When he was reunited with his wife, who was now pregnant with their first son, Jokai, Temüjin's authority was sealed. He had proven his strength, his leadership, and his unwavering resolve. The man who had been an outcast, a slave, and a fugitive had returned as a conqueror. This victory was the spark that would ignite a fire across the world. The boy named Temüjin was gone. From the crucible of his early life, a new leader had emerged, ready to unite the tribes, ready to fulfill his destiny, ready to become the great Genghis Khan. His rise had truly begun. Thank you for watching. If you were captivated by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more epic tales from history. Stay tuned for part 2.